one of the kings of the talk shows, Steve Allen. Steve, my privilege to interview you, sir. Thank you for coming on my show.
Nice to be with you. Thank you. Handshakes are 50 cents, but that's all right.
Handshakes, all seriousness aside. Okay. Steve, thank you for coming on. And how many of these Hollywood collector shows have you been to?
This is only the second time I've had this experience, but Jane and I were just talking about the fact that we plan to come back because the main reason is it's a lot of fun. You meet some fascinating people.
You do, and of course this is the first one that your lovely wife Jane has appeared in also.
That's true, yeah. Yes.
Now, tell me, Steve, do you have any new videos or things coming out on the old film clips of your classic talk shows or your Steve Allen show, which ran back in the 1950s?
Well, there are a couple that have been on the market for a few years. They continue to sell. And we have some more that are in the planning, but nothing on the market at the moment. But I have a lot of records and CDs out. As a matter of fact, there's one here. I'm sure you're familiar with the marvelous singer and actress Ann Gillian.
Absolutely.
And she has recently recorded this album of a dozen or so of my songs. And I'm also recording a lot now for a company called Varice Saraband. So no sense doing a commercial here, but if you're in a record store, that's the label you ask for, Varice Saraband.
All right. Now, Steve, how many books have you written over the years?
My 49th will be out in a few months. It's a murder mystery. These are almost all murder mysteries along here. And the new one is called Die Laughing. The setting is in the comedy business.
Steve, you've done so many things in the show business: stage, screen, television, radio, the book writing, songwriting. How many songs have you written?
Well, I just write them. I don't count them, but we have people at the office who have to keep track of them for legal purposes and filing purposes. And they told me the other day we're up over the 6,500 mark now. Of course, I've been writing for over 50 years.
That's absolutely amazing. And you've done so much. What part? Is any part of show business you have not done that you would like to do?
No, not really. The business has been very kind to me. By the time I was about 12 years old, I had discovered a number of abilities. Oddly enough, I never planned to make a living at any of them. At that point, it's like when you're a kid, you might be good at tennis playing, or you might be good at basket weaving, or making leather wallets, or whatever. So I was the class clown the neighborhood cut up, and in school played piano in the dance orchestras or the programs, made speeches in the assemblies, acted in the school plays, wrote poems for the school magazine, items for the school newspaper, that sort of thing. But to me, it was all hobbies. So how lucky can you get that when you grow up, you get to make a living from your hobbies?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the classic band leader movies that you've done with. And is there anything favorite that you do and you like the best?
Not really. I think there's one gift that is more pronounced than the others. My primary gift seems to be for the composition of music, but I don't enjoy that any more than I enjoy the comedy or the poetry or all the other activities.
I take a lot of pride. I have my show for the last 3 years, and a little celebrity talk show, and having you, the one who originated the Tonight Show, and I believe it was New York.
Yes.
And are you surprised it lasts this long?
Well, I would be surprised if I had ever done a lot of forethought about it, but I didn't. To me, it was just, well, that's what we did tonight. Now I hope we can do it again tomorrow night. It was that sort of a thing. Because while there are many achievements in the theatrical profession, films, recording, theater, whatever, that are deserving of high praise, I honestly don't think that having created the talk show is in that category. I figure that a million years ago, there was probably some guy in the woods or in the jungle sitting on a tree stump, and a couple of friends sitting on the fallen log to his right, and they were probably, exchanging a few pleasantries one morning. And when you get right down to it, that is really all there is to a talk show. Now you can add other elements like a purple curtain or an orchestra or something of that sort.
Yes.
But the basis is just a guy on the tree stump and a couple of guys on the log. So I'm glad I thought of it, glad I did it first, but it's not like coming up with a cure for AIDS or writing a great opera.
Well, there's only been 4 hosts on the Tonight Show. Started with Steve Allen, of course, Jack Parr, Johnny Carson for many years, and now Jay Leno. Do you still watch it tonight on with Jay Leno?
Well, it's not that I turn my back on it. I certainly don't do that. In fact, I've been on the show with Jay and on the other version with David Letterman, all the guys. But I don't watch much television. I work 7 days a week, and that doesn't leave a lot of time for just staring at the set. We do try to keep up. Jane and I, we try to keep up with what's going on in the world, so we watch news, and we watch instructional programs such as Prime Time or 20 Minutes, or, 20 or 60 Minutes. Hey, that's an idea for a show.
Sorry to cut it down.
20 minutes for you folks in a big rush.
Steve, you're so busy with all, like 7 days a week now, and do you ever think about slowing down, or are you a workaholic or what?
I think I'm a kind of a workaholic. I'm not the kind that stays at the office till 9 o'clock and comes home with 3 briefcases full of paperwork. But I'm just lucky, as I suggested earlier, that everything I do, from which I now derive income, was originally just a hobby, therefore something I did for fun. So I think this is true had I never been born. If they passed a law that nobody could ever again make a penny from writing jokes or poems or plays or film scripts, you wouldn't have any less of that work in the world, because while you will gladly accept the money that people offer you for those services, that's not really why you do it. You do it because you can. You get a sense of satisfaction in the creation of a work of art, if it's something modest or something quite big and grand. But after that, it's all gravy. So therefore, creative people do not retire. Most people can't wait to retire, and the reason is clear. They are not that thrilled with the jobs they have to do to earn the money to support themselves. We even have sayings and songs on that very point. There's this rather vulgar titled song, "You Can Take This Job," and, or "Thank God It's Friday." Yeah. But Friday night means nothing to me, because I have just as much fun Monday, Wednesday, and Tuesday, and so forth, because I'm, again, permitted to indulge myself in my hobbies.
You know, so many great comedians got their start on your show. You know, you had one cast there. You had Don Knotts and Louis Nye and Tom Polston, and all these great comedians got their start. Gabe Deal. Yeah. You ever look back on that and say, look at all these guys, look what they've done in their career, and they started out on my show. It's amazing.
Well, all of us are still friends. We've lost poor Gabe a few years ago, but all the other guys are still around. We work together quite often, or we see each other at dinner parties, that sort of thing. So I don't take any particular pride. I mean, they got to where they are because of their own talent. It was lucky that I was able to bring them into the storyline, so to speak, and let them show their stuff. But I've also done that for a number of other people who did not have that kind of success. Yes. So all of the people who have hosted talk shows, whether they're daytime or nighttime shows, can show you a list of 57 or 63 now important people who got their start on Johnny's show or Jack Parr's or Donald Duck's or mine or whoever. Absolutely. And we weren't really doing charity work when we booked these clever people. Mm-hmm. You do need talented people. In fact, if you're the host of a show, you don't even have to be talented yourself. It's nice if you are, but it's not a requirement. But you do have to have singers and dancers and trombone players and so forth who are talented. So if some of them go on to become major stars, that's just a nice plus.
Certainly no problem in your case. You're a most talented man I ever seen in part of the show business. Lou Costello was a veteran comic that you also had on your show, and it was a delight to see, and I was a big fan, to see him once again on your show. That was great.
Yeah, there were certain aspects of booking guests on my various shows that were so much fun for me. Now, if you're, let's say, 50 years old and you meet a 30-year-old celebrity, you're impressed to meet him and you might like him in the movies, but it's quite a different reaction from when you meet people who were important when you were 10 years old. Right. And so when I met the great comedians or the great singers or actors who were important to me when I was 10, 12, 16, that was a real big kick.
I envy you on that. Yeah, you're Lou Costello, and I'm sure you met the Stooges and so on and so forth.
Yeah, we had almost all the great ones who were around in the 50s and 60s or to the present day. And the same thing was true of all the great artists in the world of jazz. I'm a jazz musician myself. And to think that when I was 14 years old, I was listening to Benny Goodman or Lionel Hampton or Teddy Wilson or Charlie Parker, whoever they were, and then later to get to meet them, that was a great kick.
Well, Steve, I won't take any more of your time. I know you're busy here. If you've never been to one of these Hollywood Collector shows, you don't know what you're missing, you can come here, get autographs, get the latest issue of Steve's book here, and have an autograph to boot. And I want to thank you so much, Mr. Steve Allen, for being on my show. You're one of my idols, buddy.
Oh, well, great pleasure to be with you. Thanks so much.
Steve Allen, everybody.